Hello and welcome back to Visiting Dugout. I am Crystal O'Keefe, and today I have a new to the podcast guest, Graig Mantle. Hello and welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Greg. I have been a Padres fan my whole life, which is now a long time. Um, from the Bay Area in California, and I live in Arizona now. And huge baseball fan, still play baseball, watch baseball, lots of that. So
Baseball is life. I get it.
pretty much.
So the Padres currently are just a half game back from the Dodgers at the time of this recording. But what else is new with this team? Because it seems like a really fun, exciting April for this team.
I was thinking that too, but then watching the games is very stressful because they're winning, but they're not amazing. They have a good bullpen. They have starting pitching that's kind of just slapped together with whoever they have. I mean, we have Walker Buehler starting games for us, Herman Marquez, all these guys who are cast off by bad teams. Um, the hitting, Fernando Tatis doesn't have a home run yet. Uh, the hitters are hitting terribly, so I don't know how they're winning. They just seem to keep winning, and the end of games has been really exciting, but they seem to be really good at just scoring one or two more than the other team. As far as what's new, I mean, over the offseason, they didn't really do anything. They had to get sold. I guess they just got new ownership. So that clears up a lot of the can we add payroll, can we spend or whatever. They're kind of up against it. Um, so there's really, they make a lot of trades, but they didn't even do that this year. So
So you mentioned trades in the offseason. Obviously, Mason Miller technically came at what the trade deadline last year, and you have just added Lucas Giolito very recently. But you mentioned they didn't do too much in the offseason. What holes are there still in this Padres team that kind of need to be filled then?
I mean, for sure, starting pitching. I mean, I've watched every game and I don't even know who's still in the rotation. It feels like they're just kind of slapped together. They're missing like a left fielder. Um, you know, uh, First base is kind of a hole. We have Gavin Sheets, so that's been fun. But, like an everyday. They're still relying on Ty France to do things. He's been playing a lot and he's been hitting okay, but for how long? Yeah, it's just kind of like relying on the bullpen. And as far as I know, everything I've seen, every time a team has a bullpen they rely on and go to too much. I mean, it's not even May. They wear down. They go through slumps too, and when you put too much on it, it hurts you in the playoffs. But yeah, there.
I forget how much the Padres are kind of the White Sox of the West when I look at your roster construction because very familiar with Gavin Sheets. Like I mentioned, now you guys have Lucas Giolito and then obviously Tatis Jr. That's a sore spot. And Manny Machado, who the White Sox were convinced we were convinced we were getting Manny. But I have a funny like side note to the Manny Machado thing because White Sox fans were so convinced that he was coming to Chicago. My husband's birthday is before baseball season. It's in February, so I made him. The White Sox have churros at their ballpark, so I made like a churro cake. I put the White Sox logo on it. I made like this cool green grass. And then on the side, I put "and Manny Moore," thinking, yeah, this is like a done deal. His brother-in-law is here. There was the whole like booties, the baby booties on the Instagram story. Um, it was a very dark period then when they were like, just kidding, he's not coming here.
Yeah.
The White Sox will never spend that money, but yeah, you guys are kind of the West Coast White Sox. It's a little wild.
We're playing a little better,
Well,
luckily.
yeah. No, I just mean in terms of
Yeah.
players. You got
Giolito
so
is,
many.
I don't know when he's supposed to start because he just got hit in his first rehab start. He got hit like by a line drive, so he had to come out. So it's probably another month. Um, yeah, there was, I mean, for a while, I mean, I think they had Alexi Ramirez too
Hmm.
a long time ago. It feels like all the ex-White Sox sort of, we didn't try Tim Anderson, luckily, but lots of those guys kind of filter through the White Sox or vice versa.
Alexi, who was just deemed for steroids during the World Baseball Classic because, a 44-year-old man should definitely be playing in the World Baseball Classic.
I mean, I'll be 40 in a few months and I wouldn't I wouldn't stop using steroids if it got me a home run before I retire. So
Exactly.
what nothing's gonna happen to me.
So
Well,
you mentioned that you don't know how the Padres are winning these games because they are kind of just one-run games, but are you feeling confident that they're no?
I mean, um I especially on social media and I kind of follow a lot of Padres fans. Being in Arizona, they have their own. Every fan base feels like they're doomerists. Even Dodgers fans can feel like they're like, "Oh my God, the world is ending." But I try to be more optimistic, and I thought running this team back mostly because they've made the playoffs so many times lately would be, but they just seem to not have. I don't know. They don't put together games that are like exciting, or they don't just go out and throw a game out where they dominate teams. Even when they do beat a team by 6 or 7 runs, it feels like, oh God. The having Mason Miller is great. He struck out, I think until last game, he had struck out a batter in like 14 batters. So even that's kind of fading a little. Um, Maybe overuse there too. I don't know. I don't trust guys who throw 104, they break. So,
Yes.
um, yeah, like I would prefer the offense. I mean, it's not like they're a cold weather team. They can't blame the weather. It's San Diego and they play, they come out to Phoenix and things like that. So, uh, I mean, they have a track record. Xander Bogaerts is playing well. And then they have a catcher, Luis Campusano, who has been kind of a whipping boy for the last few years, but finally seems to be getting it together with more playing time. But yeah, like, Jackson Merrill's not hitting well. Tatis isn't hitting well. Machado, Jake Cronenworth's he's basically a bench player now. Um, and the pitchers, I mean, Nick Pivetta's hurt, and it sounded like that was something that may not go away for the whole year. Randy Vasquez has been okay, but he's not as good as they wanted him to be. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, I enjoy watching it, sort of, but it's never a relaxing game. And yeah, so
I also feel like anytime you're in a league, unfortunately, with the Dodgers, you can be very high on a team, but then you have to be a realistic and say, oh, but at the end of the day, it's us versus the Dodgers. And unfortunately, they've just turned into a cheat code.
yeah, I'm not as afraid of the Dodgers as everyone else is. I mean, my thoughts with that is like they're taking all these contracts too that if another team had signed, like Edwin Diaz, who's now basically out I mean, he's got elbow problems. If another team had signed him to that same deal, which they could have, that would ruin their payroll. They would like, but for the Dodgers, they can just throw him away. So the other team that didn't sign him now has that money also. So instead of having to pay him to sit on the DL or IL, they get to, So I kind of feel like they're kind of like there is an easy scapegoat, but the Padres have played him really hard. The Diamondbacks play him really hard. The Giants seem to roll over for them, but I don't think anybody in the division really seems like they're afraid of them. I think everyone else kind of does. but yeah, obviously their record is still one of the best in the league. But you know, I they're not juggernauts. The first what 2 years ago they were on the ropes in the wild card, and then they went on a run. Last year, I mean, it took a guy that is like the 12th best player on that team hitting a home run in the ninth inning to save the series. So playing in their division is annoying, but beating him, I love beating him. Like if they were just an average team, if beating the Guardians or the Tigers as a White Sox fan isn't as satisfying as beating the Dodgers as a Padres fan. So, I love having that dragon to slay, as they say.
Yeah, I love that kind of side of it, that lens that I wouldn't necessarily think about. I just enjoy when they lose because the Dodgers frustrate me
Yes.
to no other. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break and pay bills, and then when we get back, we can talk about what this series might look like. Okay, welcome back. So, pitching matchup, kind of what to expect. So, we've got first game, Noah Schultz, who is the White Sox just baby. He's basically a newborn in my eyes. Versus Herman Marquez, we've got Sean Burke and Michael King. And then last day, we have Anthony Kay and Randy Vasquez. So, with what you know, because it does seem like your pitching is so kind of up in the air day to day, what can you tell me about what the White Sox might see with these three starters?
Herman Marquez has been good. I know Noah Schultz is also really good, but do they let him go deep into games?
That's
Yeah.
still, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's out by the fifth inning
Yeah.
because he is so new still.
So, given the pitching matchups for all three series, I mean, I'm sure Michael King's still really good. So Murakami will homer in two of those games, I'm sure. Uh, that seems like a given. Probably twice off one of those guys. But yeah, Marquez has been actually pretty decent, and I think this is his first year not pitching in Colorado, so maybe there's some of that. But to be relying on him for 30 starts is kind of sketchy. If there's a game the White Sox will win, I would assume it's this one because Noah Schultz against this current version of the Padres is he'll look pretty good, I think. I hope not, but they will help him out a lot. So
And what about Randy Vasquez? Because Anthony Kay, I am kind of ready to take off of the White Sox. He's, I think, the weakest link on this team right now.
mm.
So, what do you feel about that matchup with Randy Vasquez? How's he been doing?
He's been good. The last half of last year was when he kind of picked it up. Um, so he's got a pretty recent track record of being good. I mean, he's got an ERA under 3. He's been steady. He's probably good as a 3 or 4. But they've been kind of asking him to be a 1 or maybe a 2 in the rotation. I don't know. It's just because the track record's not there. It's hard to trust him, but he's been good. And for me, that's great. Especially going against the pitcher he's going against. I hope he has lots of run support that day, but he's been pretty steady and you can run him pretty deep and that part I like. I like pitchers that can, any day they can just go long and save your bullpen. So, um yeah, I mean, and then yeah, Michael King is good. But yeah, I don't know. The White Sox rotation seems like it's starting to fall apart.
It kind of depends. Noah's been fine. Sean Burke has been very good.
Yeah.
You won't see Davis Martin. Davis Martin did just pitch. Davis Martin has been lights out,
Okay.
exceptional. He just went against one of the greatest pitchers in the league right now when we played the Angels and out pitched him. Davis has been great. But then there are the types like Anthony Kay and occasionally Eric Fetty, who I feel
Mm.
like are falling just drastically and very frustrating to watch. And you, like I said, you see one of those this series for sure. And we don't know how Noah's going to be because he's pitched like 2 games. So who knows what to like fully expect at this level with him. But
Yeah, he pitched 3 games so far.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, his last game was his best, but it was against the Nationals. So
Yeah.
he's
We don't
thrown
include them.
85, yeah, 85 pitches a start. So yeah, like I mean the Padres do see a lot of pitches. So I mean, if they can knock him out or have them pull him in the fourth or fifth, then I don't know much about the White Sox bullpen, but I do see a lot of times where there's a lot of highlights of late game stuff going on. So there must be some kind of chaos.
Our bullpen is really bad.
Yeah.
So, which player on the Padres could be the biggest threat to the White Sox? And this can obviously be pitching, but this can also just be anyone.
I mean, I assume Tatis is going to get hot at some point. And this kind of low leverage series where there's, it's interdivision, intercon or interleague and intraleague and there's not much pressure. Maybe that kind of and he's at home and I assume the weather's going to be good. It's good here. So maybe that's the kind of series where he finally gets a home run and shakes that off of his back and other than that, like, some of the guys that are newer hit their first home runs yesterday. Castellanos finally homered and Miguel Andujar. So maybe it could be a surprising guy that stays hot. Ty France has been getting a lot of playing time, but I would hope that Tatis finally has a breakout game this season, and maybe that's this series. And he's still stealing bases and hitting the ball hard. He's just not hitting it out. So.
So with that, and maybe Tatis getting hot at this point is kind of the perfect storm for it. But what do the Padres need to do to take this series? Because again, the White Sox did just sweep. Yes, it was the Angels, but still a Major League Baseball team. So what do they need to do to take this series from the White Sox?
I'd say if they don't give any extra outs, play good defense, and score 4 runs a game, they'll be fine. Um, the starting pitching is good enough to hold a lineup to 2 or 3 runs, and then the bullpen will hold the whole lineup empty. So, if you have a 2-run lead in the sixth, I think that's the end of the game. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would just say win the first 6 innings and then you win the game. Um, and I don't think it'll take much. Um, as far as I know. I mean, I know the White Sox seem to have guys that are, they have the beginnings of a good offense. Certainly with Montgomery and Murakami, they have some power too, but that's why I said a 2-run lead in case they knock one out. But just not giving any extra outs, not walking guys. I would say that that's probably because you're gonna get hits off this staff. So, and they're at home and they've got momentum. I mean, they're confident, even if the fans have, it's stressful watching it. They're still one of the best teams in the league record wise, and these are the types of teams they need to pad some stats and get some wins on. So, yeah.
So kind of on the opposite end of that, what fears do you have leading into this series?
I mean, they have games where they just feel like they're not focused or they're just checked out, and I never want to say a ball player's checked out. You see highlights, and I think everyone tries all the time, but it just feels like sometimes they're just kind of on autopilot. Um, and we have a new manager who's brand new to managing, who's still kind of feeling his way through, and it's been better the last couple weeks, but the first couple weeks were pretty rough, as far as felt like decision making and things like that. So I would say just making sure that they're up for it. I mean, they just played the Cubs, who are a good team. Played them pretty well, but had a pretty disappointing ending yesterday. Um, yeah, I would just say staying focused and putting a complete game together. They need to get better at that and make it so that the bullpen doesn't have to be stressed. So
So moving away from our teams that you're talking about here, this is just where I love to get your hot takes or just what do you think 2026 will be like for baseball? Because we are still so early. This episode will come out and it'll just be May 1st. So we are still very much in the infancy of this season. So how are you just feeling overall? What are you looking for and hoping for?
um I feel like there's not many surprises this season. Everyone's kind of settled into their expected areas. Um, I'm not really sure how the rest of the season's actually going to go. It feels like the wave of pitcher injuries was a lot less this season. So that's good. Um, New pitch. Yeah, I mean, one thing I don't like, and I was writing about this the other day, is I don't like the challenge system. I think that needs to go away. And I know
Really?
that's not popular, but I hate it. So, um, just to me, like, uh, so many of these calls are guesses,
Hmm.
and it's proven out now pretty much the fact that they're overturned 50% of the time on the edges, that they are guesses. So you're basically just taking your guess against the other guess, like and the has a pretty good feel, and so I think it's not worth it for the what, four maybe bad calls where the ball is like way outside or way in the zone and it's miscalled. I mean, that just happens. Some guys drop fly balls that are also caught 99% of the time. It's part of baseball, and I hate that it interrupts the flow, especially at the end of the game when there's like, two-strike walk or something and the guy's already to first and then they end up grounding out anyway. So, I'm the believer of it all evens out. It's 162 games, what you get 70 at bats a game between both teams. The ball's gonna favor the best team in the end, whether there's a bad call or not. So that's me. And then to just put that much pressure on the umpires and give the crowd instant like ammunition to keep booing them,
Right.
like, and just blast it on these jumbotrons how wrong they were when they're the best at what they do and they're as good as they've ever been, and we still give them a lot of grief. So I don't know, I don't like it, but that's just me. So
I think I was already really used to it because I catch a lot of minor league games. So it's just kind of second nature for me now, but it's interesting to hear what other people do think about it, especially if they're not used to it or it's something new this year for a lot of people. So that's funny to
yeah, I just hate how we want everything to be perfectly correct. Black and white. And sure, the strike zone is supposed to be black and white, but people need to learn how to deal with adversity and not everything's going to go your way all the time. In real life that happens all the time. And if in real life we can't expect our rights to be wronged immediately, we have to just adapt and baseball was always such a good lesson teacher for that too, because as a kid you make a play, you get a horrible call, and obviously the kid's going to throw a tantrum,
yeah.
and you learn your lesson. You either learn how to handle it or you're going to be frustrated longer and longer. Now we're teaching people, if you were done wrong, you deserve to have it righted right away. And that's kind of one of the core lessons of baseball as a human being that you learn, that seems to be like, okay, never mind. That was no, yeah, you deserve to be spoiled with. I don't know. I don't like to be a complainer, but it's just annoying, and I
Well,
don't know every time I see it. So
as a baseball mom, my kid played baseball for 11 years in total, both fall and spring ball. So we were very used to it. And as a little kid, would throw those tantrums. He'd strike out and he'd get mad. And I was like, well, you watched it go by you. You
Yeah.
didn't even, you watched it the whole time coming at you. And, he'd throw these fits. And or if he would just kind of make a dumb play, he'd come in and throw his glove down. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pull you out of this game. You're not going to play baseball anymore if this is how you're going to act, or you're going to learn, hey, maybe don't watch it. Maybe actually, lift my shoulder, like maybe actually hit the ball. And I've told both children that because my daughter's played softball, I was like, I would rather watch you strike out swinging than watch you watch that ball come through and then get mad because
Yeah.
you struck out. And that was just always kind of the funny thing is like, I will pull you right out of this baseball game and I will embarrass you in front of all of your friends because you want to throw a little fit,
Yeah.
or you can just learn to swing. Those are your
Yeah.
options.
And now, you've got major league players able to just stare at it. They go immediately back and look at an iPad and like, oh, I was wrong. And they're just pissed off about. And now, like, you can slow mo, you've got the box on the screen, and there's just so much stuff that, like, at the core of the game, the strike zone was kind of just meant to get the game moving. Like,
Yeah.
throw the ball here so we can put it in play. And now it's like, obviously it's more than that, but now that strikeouts are so important and everything's about missing bats, it's like, I understand that there's a lot on the table with, there's a lot at stake with these big name players and these, major leagues, but it's a game and we need to go back to treating it like one and just accept. And fans need to also, not assign a conspiracy theory to every bad call, but, um, it's just as a Padres fan, we've had bad calls. Matt Holliday slid through, never touched home plate in 2007. They ended up going to the World Series. The Padres went into the wilderness and didn't make the playoffs again for like 12 years. So these things happen. It sucks, but it's yeah, like obviously I'm still bringing it up, but it's frustrating, but it is what it is. And who knows? Maybe if they had a replay back then, they overturn it, next guy hits a home run, they win anyway, and it's even more final. So you just never know, and you just have to know that the baseball gods are. You have to put in your deposits with the baseball gods, and they'll give you favors later on. So
I love that. All right. Well, that's what I have for you. Before we leave, will you just let people know where they can find you?
I do write a Substack called State of Baseball. Um, and that's I have started writing more things about what I say, but my main goal was to interview people around the country, whether they're fans, players, just strangers, about what baseball means to them and their experiences and of all ages and locations and backgrounds. And I'm at like what I'm getting slower at doing these, but I'm done like 70 of them now. So you can check them out. There's probably somebody for that somebody knows and has, they've been pretty fun so far. 90% of them have been amazing people, and that's I think it's called it. I'm trying to remember the name. It's stateofbaseball.substack.com.
We will
And then
link it in our notes for sure.
perfect.
I pulled it up for you.
Oh, great.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Uh,
yeah. And then you're on Blue Sky. I know that much.
Same thing, State of Baseball, I believe the name is.
Yeah.
Um, yep.
All right.
I
Well,
don't really, yeah, post too much because I'm not as funny as everyone else on there, but it is what it is. So.
I feel like your Simpsons references are elite. So
I do,
don't
and
discount yourself.
what's her name? Jackie.
Jackie's good.
That's the most, yeah, that's what I look forward to is anytime she posts something, I can think of a Simpsons reference to put in there. Um, that's probably the most fun part of that app.
Yes,
Yeah, because
she's a Simpsons ball knower and a ball knower in general, but yeah, she's great.
yeah, she's entertaining. I've only known her through following her, but yeah, because yeah, you can drop a Simpsons reference on a lot of people and they won't get it, but she gets all of it. So, um, I will keep going until I run out of references for that. So
Well, thank you so much. Best of luck in this series. I appreciate you joining and talking Padres.
yeah, it's great meeting you, and you good luck as well. And thank you for having me.
All right, bye.